Dick Cooper Jr., and I didn't get your card, but,
That's all I remember.
okay.
I can start whenever you guys want.
Go right ahead.
Sure.
Do you want to turn some lights out, or?
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
Can you guys see it? So thank you guys for having us, first of all. We've been doing this a lot. This is our 35th county commission meeting in the last 9 weeks. Mine personally. So I've been to 35 county commission meetings in the last 9 weeks. You know, we live in a pretty amazing state. And, you know, it's hard to really feel it until you go everywhere. And we've been almost everywhere now. And things are doing well, actually. I mean, most places are pretty optimistic and hopeful. And one of the reason I bring that up is one of the reasons that we did this, and one of the reasons why I'm excited to bring it to y'all is that, you know, we are in the point now where we need to start getting people that don't live here to come back, that have never lived here to start a business here. And it is my fear that people that don't live in West Virginia see us as we were in like 1950. And we need to do everything we can to counteract that perception, and that we need to show people that it's 2018 in West Virginia the same as it's 2018 in Virginia, and Kentucky, and Maryland, and Ohio, and Pennsylvania. And one of the things that we have to battle is that people remember us for our worst things. And you know, we've had a long history of some not so nice political corruption scandals, and I felt that if we were to open up our state's books to every citizen in the most transparent way possible, it would go a long way to counteracting what is a history of things that weren't exactly that way. And so we built this website, and it was actually, within the last 2 months, ranked as the #1 transparency website in the United States. And we were ranked as the #1 most transparent state government in the United States. And what we were able to do when we built it is that we bought licenses for all the counties as well. And so what my goal was to have the state site, which I'm going to show you, and then have all 55 counties have their own sites too. And there's a few really big advantages and reasons why I wanted the counties to all have them. First, I believe it's the citizens' information, and we need to do the best we can to get it back to them. But more than that, it gives you a tool to communicate with your constituents in a way that you never had before. And people come to the commission frequently and they say, I need you guys to help me with this. We need money for this. We need funding for this program or that program. And I see it all the time. I'm in county commissions meetings a lot. And sometimes you have to say no. Sometimes you get to say yes. Just yesterday, I mean, just the frustration of being in Charleston is sometimes overwhelming. But we were in Pocahontas County yesterday, and this guy ran the senior center in Pocahontas County. Pocahontas County is huge, right? And so it's probably a miserable place to try to get food to people that need it. And he was begging the county commission for $350 to put struts on a 2008 Chevy Malibu, right? And then at the exact same moment, we're having hearings in Charleston about $20,000 rugs, right? And what you see when you get out into these county commission meetings is this is where the rubber meets the road, right? This is where things get done that actually put food on somebody's table, a service that needs to get completed, a senior is either going to eat or not eat. And that's what happens in our cities and counties. That's where, like I said, the rubber meets the road. And so this website gives you a tool to show your constituents, #1, what you're doing, and #2, why you maybe can't do something. Because there's an inherent distrust that I've found between the citizens and the government. And so when you tell them you can't do something, that often they just think you're not telling the truth. And it's not true. You are telling them the truth. And now you have a way to show them in plain as day, black and white, real numbers. This is what we have, this is what we can do, and this is why we're doing it. On top of that, did y'all have your audit done by our staff this year? Did they come from Clarksburg, probably?
I'm not sure where that came from.
Either Clarksburg or Morgantown, I'm sure. But was it probably $36,000 or $37,000, give or take, somewhere in that neighborhood? So that's too much. We're doing a couple things on that front. First, we put together a roundtable of folks to change our audit standard. They are tasked at making it 25% shorter and less expensive. So that if you have a $40,000 audit, it'll be $30,000 in the coming years. And that the hope is that will be finished next year. And what I found is that our audit standard got huge. And if you've ever read through your audit, I mean, there's 30% of it's fluff that has nothing to do with the information I need from you to do my constitutional duty in an audit. And so we're trying to get back to where it was intentionally to do my job right and not expose you guys to unneeded expense. The second thing is if you guys decide to do this website, we will have access to all of your financial data at any computer that's connected to the internet. So whatever auditor is doing your audit doesn't have to drive here. So you're saving, and Fairmont's a little different. You guys are, you know, Marion County has Fairmont, so you're an urban area, you're close to Morgantown and Clarksburg. The auditor's not traveling as much. But some of our little counties, we have auditors that spend 2 hours a day in the car. So they spend 6 hours auditing and 2 hours driving, and they're getting paid for the travel time. And so we're going to be able to cut down on audit costs exponentially, more so for the smaller counties than the bigger ones. But that's sort of where we are. I'm going to show you guys a little bit how this thing works. Mon County actually just put theirs online last week, and they were very complimentary of how easy the process was. And just to be quite frank with you all, I was a little nervous because it is, I was just nervous how the county process was going to work. Because our website is huge. We have 700 million lines of data in our website. Your guys' will be a little smaller, but it took them like 10 days. And the OpenGov folks were phenomenal to work with, and their website looks great. And so they were our first county to get on board, and their website looks really good. And I'll get you their web address before I leave. It's, you know, Monongalia is hard to spell. So it would have been easy if our first county was Wirt or something. But so let me show you the website. Let's try not to trip. All right, so this is the landing page that we built. And so it has two tracks, revenue and spending. And then this third tile down here, we can change for whatever is publicly important. So we get a lot of requests for Supreme Court reports. So we just pull the Supreme Court report. You can go on there, click on that, and it goes directly to that agency. That's going to turn into a road bond tile. We're going to separate all the road bond spending and show all the counties broken down by county how the road bond spending is going by promised projects. So I don't know, I think there were 9 projects in Marion County on the road bond, is that right? So what you'll have is a map. You click on that, it'll be a map of West Virginia. You click on Marion County, and it'll show you the 9 projects. And then if you click on the project, it opens up like a car dashboard, and the RPM meter, I think, is how much money was budgeted, and the fuel gauge is how much money has been spent, and the speedometer is how far in between they are. So you can see promise, spent, and how far down the line they are. It's real simple, and I think it's going to be really important for all of us to monitor that to make sure that what was promised is actually getting delivered. Because we borrowed $3 billion, so that's an important deal. All right, so the revenue side, so for the state, we have a lot more revenue sources than you guys do. But this is essentially what yours will look like on the front page. And what do you have, maybe 25 revenue streams, 20?
It stretches 5 or 6 main.
And then some little ones, right?
The smaller ones.
So you could break it down into main funds and secondary funds if you wanted, and just for ease of viewing. But we've broken it down: special revenue, general revenue, state road fund, and federal money. And so the special revenue is stuff, you know, your audit bill is in special revenue. So if we were to click in there and go to the auditor's office, you could see how much money you paid the auditor for doing your audit. But we'll go into general revenue. And so for me, what's really important about this is if you're a small business and you're thinking about expanding or hiring more people or getting smaller or buying less inventory, you need to know how the economy is doing around you. And as it is now, you have to wait for the revenue office to do a report every month, which is great that they do that, but they're giving you the information through their mouth and their lens, and it is their goal to make whatever their policies are look good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what their goal is. But this gives you the information raw so that you can make your own conclusions about it. And the consumer sales tax, to me, is a very important indicator of economic strength. And I find this chart to be very interesting. So what you see here is that over the last 4 years in the state of West Virginia, our consumer sales tax has risen by over $14 million each year. And to me, that goes completely contrary to what most people's perception of what was going on in the state's economy over that time. The consumer sales tax is widely renowned as the #1 indicator of how a state's economy is doing. And our consumer sales tax has been doing very well for a while. And I think what has happened is we correlated budget, and the state had a budget crisis 4 years ago, and we thought, oh, the economy must be in the tank if we have a budget crisis. That really wasn't the case. What really happened was, I don't want to look at that one. What really happened was we lost a ton of revenue from one source. And so you go back into general revenue and you click on severance tax, and here you can see why we had a budget problem. There's your budget problem, which has nothing necessarily to do with the strength of the overall state's economy. It has to do with we mined a lot less coal and gas prices, fell through the floor. And it just happened to happen in the same year. Bad luck, right? And you can see that that's stabilized. It stabilized in less money than it used to be, but to find $300 million in 1 year is really hard. And so I think maybe we misinterpreted what not having any state budget, not having enough money in the state budget really meant from our economic standpoint. And these are the kind of reports that you never had access to before. And so the revenue numbers are almost in real time, and they are getting ready to be in actually real time. And so what you'll see within the next month or two is we are going to, the new fiscal year will pop up, and we have figured out how to add the revenue estimates by month. And so you'll be able to look in the current year and see every month whether or not we've hit our estimates by the day. We have one of the state budget people just came down to work in our office, and he is building this report, and it's going to be really fascinating so that people can follow the revenue as it's going. So on the spending side, and what's great for you guys on that is you can show those reports to anybody who comes in here, and you can say, we would love to do, help X, Y, and Z charity, but this is where we are budget-wise this year. This is where our revenue's coming. We lost this much money this year in this fund, and we just don't have it. And I'm really sorry. And next year, if we do a little better and things turn around, we'll have a better opportunity to do some more things. And when people see it, right in front of them in numbers that can't lie, it makes the exchange go a lot easier. So this is the spending side. So there are 650 million rows of spending data in here, and it adds more every day. There is spending that's being added to this website as we speak. If I were to refresh it, the lines that are down here would change. And so the easiest thing to do is to just find a vendor, and you can look and see if we've spent any money with them. Have you guys been to the mall in Charleston?
Yes. I have been to the mall.
So name a store in the mall in Charleston you wouldn't want anybody using a P card at? Like a ladies' clothing store, maybe.
No, I mean, that's.
Victoria's Secret, let's try that one out. You type the vendor into the search tab. Did I spell it wrong? Oh no. So, what you find is that in 2017, the Supreme Court spent $100 for Victoria's Secret. This is real. This is an actual expenditure.
Yeah.
You right-click on it, you go to check details, and up pops the actual expenditure lines. So what you see is the agency, the check date, the check number, the vendor, the amount, and then all of the electronic data that has to do with the expense. And so what you can do, and the reason that this is great, is you can save it as a PDF and keep it, or you can share it, which directly emails it. But this is the most important part. So the questions about this expenditure, you put your name and your phone number and your email. You don't have to. You can send an anonymous message if you want, and you can say, I want to know what this expenditure was for. And it comes into the CFO of the Supreme Court just like a FOIA, and they have to answer your question. And this particular expense was a gift card for a drug court graduate. And so, it's not for me to decide whether or not that is appropriate. My job is not to tell the agencies whether or not what they're buying is wasteful or not wasteful. It is my job to keep the books and to show the people what's being spent so that you can decide whether or not that's wasteful. And that's what this tool does. It also does a couple of other things that are really important. So we have the road bond project going on right now. And so we're going to be spending an enormous amount of money paving roads, right? So they're going to be letting out projects left and right. So if you wanted to know who's winning the paving projects, you type in paving or asphalt or whatever you want. And you can come in here and you can figure out, West Virginia Paving is winning a lot of these bids. The fact that this information is here is going to provide anybody who's lost a bid with real-time access to how much money they got underbid by. And what's that going to do to their next bid? It's not going to go up. So the more access you have to the expense of commodities that are purchased by governments, the more likely it is that all the commodity prices are going to go down. because the people bidding on it are gonna try to win, and if they know how much they have to bid to win, it's gonna go down. So access creates better price points for all the governments. And if all the counties can be on here, you can go on to Mon County, or Harrison County, or Taylor County, or you name the contiguous county, and you can figure out how much they're spending on insurance, right? You can figure out how much they're spending on concrete. You can figure out how much they're spending on X, Y, and Z, doesn't matter. And then if they're getting a better deal than you can call them up and say, hey guys, how did you negotiate this contract? What did this mean? How did you do this? How can we get the same deal? Have you had a good experience with this vendor? You name it. So all the counties are going to be able to work together in a way that they've never done before to get the best deal and the best service on all the products that they all buy.
Just out of curiosity, could that work in reverse? What if we were getting a real good deal, we do a lot of projects, and they get on there and say, geez, we're paying a lot more in Mon County and Harrison County, maybe we're not good one for it. And I'm just curious.
That's a great question. I hadn't contemplated whether or not there would be reverse corporate collusion. I guess it's possible.
I mean, probably, I would say, in most cases, you're be accurate in the statement you made, it's going to drive it down, but it's.
Yeah, no, I think.
We've done a lot of business here lately with a lot of people. We've been building our Riverside development there in Palatine Park. Like
Oh, it looks awesome, by the way.
Thank you. We're very proud of it. It's just something that's a quality of life project that we've been able to do, but I just was curious about.
No, I mean, I guess, and
anything.
I'm not like a PhD in economics or anything, but I presume that it could work that way. It seems unlikely, because you could just say, if you bump the price up, I'm gonna give it to somebody
Well,
else.
contractors had access to this. If we, like last year, we painted top or down, we didn't get to do that.
It's hard to find people to do that.
It is, it's a dangerous job.
Yeah.
But we didn't know it was fair. I mean, maybe we could get on there and look and see, well, who had their numbers split? Maybe if somebody split that, we could probably learn things that would help us say, but geez, the Randolph County, they paid theirs last year. We didn't know that, but we can look on there and say what they pay, then we would know if our bid was in the ballpark or not.
Yeah.
It could help us
Sure.
and contractors in that manner.
Correct. And then on a more macro level, from my perspective, if I can get all the counties on the checkbook, I'll be able to build a website that shows what counties do in aggregate. And so when we go to the legislature and we say, hey, we need you to support X, Y, and Z bill because it helps counties do their jobs, we can say, and this is why. We provide this much police, this much fire. We provide health insurance to this many people. We employ this many people. We have this many people on retirement. This is the overall economic impact of what our county governments are providing to the state of West Virginia in aggregate. And we've never had that before. And I think when you look at it piecemeal, and one county saying we do this and another county saying we do this, the state government can't really contemplate the whole that would be created if that was removed. And so I think that we will have a much better ability of seeing where the lines of service are drawn between state and county government. And I think that's very important for the decision making in Charleston, for them to understand what actually happens in these rooms. Because it's different, I think, than probably they think. And I get to see it a lot. And I used to be in the legislature, and it is different than what I thought. And so that's basically the deal. The way that this would work is if you guys want to do it, we have paid for all the websites. We're asking the counties that can to help us sort of foot the bill if it's possible. We're asking, I think, was it $3,000 in the first year for the setup, and then $1,500 maintenance every year after that. It's either $1,500 or $1,800. I can't remember the exact amount. But I realize that budgets are tough. I realize that not every county has $3,000 to spare. It's not an insignificant amount of money. And if it's a problem, we're happy to foot the bill. And if you don't want to do it, this is obviously very voluntary. But I just didn't want cost to be a barrier for anyone to do this. But I think that if we can get all the counties and all the school boards on board and then start adding some cities, it's really going to be a neat way in West Virginia for us to show that we are really moving forward digitally and being a leader in electronic transactions. We actually are getting ready to become the first state in America to be all EFTs. So we're not going to write any paper checks anymore after the next 4 months. And that'll go a long way to help this website, but the point of the matter is that this also helps with fraud prevention, is where I was going. And so, yeah, I mean, at a certain point, there isn't enough of anybody at any county level or anybody in the state level to find everything that goes wrong. There's people stealing money, there just aren't. And It's just a fact of life. And, you know, if you have a certain amount of money and a certain amount of people working there, you know, if you put enough people in a room with the typewriters, eventually they'll end up with War and Peace, right? And so that's essentially, you know, people steal money, and you need to have a lot of vigilant citizens looking through this stuff to see where it's coming from. And I think this is a great tool to help with that too. And if you guys have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer. Is the clerk here?
Our circuit clerk is here, our county clerk.
The county, it adds a little bit of work.
Tom kind of runs it right now, to tell you the truth of the day.
Okay, are you the county administrator? You're the county administrator. So the clerk's office and the county administrator's office will have to upload this data either once or twice a month, whatever is staffing comfortable for you guys. But what this program does, the reason it works, is it interfaces with all electronic accounting software. So whatever software you use, they build the interface, it takes them a few days, and then they teach you how to upload the data, and then it gets up there. So your site will be a little less real-time. I mean, real-time is a relative term. And what we don't want this to be as a burden. We don't want you to have to add people. This needs to be something that happens within the regular course of your business so that it isn't changing your schedule and it's not changing your staffing. Because if it's doing that, then it isn't really doing its job. It's becoming an extra layer of bureaucracy that is unneeded. And it's very possible. So what I'm saying is you just need to figure out how this fits into your daily or monthly routine, and we'll support you however you need it.
What your accounting system would do is generate a file, and then your office here would just upload it into a portal. So it's once everything is done, I'll be on staff to help you whatever you need.
And all of our tech people in our office are available to help you.
I mean, this is not, we're just dropping it in here and, you know, give us your 3,000, we're out of here. No, we're here, we're invested totally. It also offers iCloud storage.
Oh, yeah, so
Yes.
it doesn't even mean to do this, but it gives you cloud-based data backup for all your financial data, which is a fantastically expensive product. And so, like, if heaven forbid the county courthouse were to burn down or flood or something, and you had to create an off-site courthouse, you would have access to all your financial records from any internet-connected computer immediately. You guys probably do it on tape. I'm sure surely you have a data backup. You guys have a great big server farm here in Fairmont too, isn't there?
Down here.
But it's just it's easy. It makes it more fluid and faster before you can connect to your other backup. And then just from your old standpoint, when you're sitting around making budget decisions at the beginning and the end of years, you're going to have access to reporting that you never had before. And so the people that I've found that use this website the most are legislators and people in the media. And so reporters use this thing all the time, and it reduces the amount of time it takes them to do their work and the amount of time we spend answering their questions. So it actually is, it's a great sort of tool for both of us. But our finance committees in the legislature wear this thing out because they've never had access to this data before. They've been making decisions in the legislature based on old data. I mean, sometimes a whole year old, and it's not checkbook level. And so they come in and you know, some division head comes in and tells them why they need a certain amount of money in their budget. Before, they just had to say, all right. I mean, and now they have access to all the things that they're talking about while they're talking about it, and they can ask real informed questions about what's actually being spent and why certain things are going up and down. And it's just a really good tool for appropriate decision making from the executive level as well. And OpenGov can build any report you want in any way you want to see it on the back end for your all's internal usage.
That's what you have there now. When you looked into like Victoria's Secret there at the mall at Sea, that was actually a transaction. That was real.
That was real.
I mean, if you're looking at something like a restaurant, like is Tidewater still down there or a Chop House?
Yeah, I can check. I actually checked Chop House the other day, and there wasn't.
I can see it be, you know, if the legislature's only allowed to spend X amount of dollars per bill, you can certainly find that out pretty quick in there.
Yeah, let's see if I'm not sure if it is or not. They can also rule stuff out too, right?
Well, oh yeah, I mean, yeah, someone said, well, you take advantage of the.
There's a little Tidewater in here. There's a little Tidewater in here. Yeah, I mean, we spent a few $100s there last year. Looks like $300 or $400. It's actually less than I would have expected.
Me too.
I mean, if you want to see the restaurant where they spend all the money at, that's easy.
Muriel's.
I think it's, This restaurant's right by my house. I know they spend a lot of money there because
Yeah.
I see the green license plates. Yeah, so, I mean, the development office spent $13,000 at Bridge Road Beach Trail last year. And a couple years ago, the state spent well over $100,000. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, that's just a lot of money. When you start to look at it in these numbers, it's actually sort of shocking to me right now. I mean, that's a staggering amount of money for one restaurant, but
More cautious about the.
Yes.
the food's good. I mean, I don't know if it's $75,000 good. It's a nice restaurant. But but we don't know why they're doing that, and that's why you asked the question, right? I mean, it's very possible that they had, a great big group of out-of-town, out-of-country dignitaries coming in to do some kind of economic development project, and they had a big catering event to bring in the Chinese delegation, or you don't know. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why this isn't weird. It looks kind of weird at first, but that's the whole point, is that you get to ask the question.
That's where I agree with you there, that you're able to ask the question.
And I will tell you, I
You
mean,
may not want the answer, maybe you do want the answer.
Right.
At the end, get to the end of it.
It's facts, too, it's not a bullshit.
Right, it's right. I mean, it's just raw data, so that there are no lies in the numbers.
Public has no access to it, do they?
Yes. Well, this is a fully public website that you don't have to put any of your information into. It's wvcheckbook.gov. You can do exactly what I'm
You
doing.
can, just how he's looking at it, you looking at it. Anybody in the world, actually.
And it works just as good on your smartphone. It was designed to work with smartphones that are touchscreen. You don't need an app. I find myself frequently seeing things while I'm traveling that I want to check out. And as long as I got a 4G signal, I'm good. And we actually worked a lot with the West Virginia Press Association on this. So this was in partnership with the guys who write the newspapers and put together our news broadcasts.
Fact check.
You said one county is the first county that.
They jumped on it fast.
Yeah.
And you guys, we've just been driving around. It takes a long time to get to all the commissions. My wife's going to kill me, I think. But yeah, it's one of those things where if you want to do it, you guys need to have a meeting, you need to discuss it, you need to vote on it. But if you decide to pull the trigger, it's a pretty simple process. It's an electronic sign-in form. Gary will take care of everything.
You just let me know, and I just send you an
Our
intake.
contact person will be Chris, our man, been there a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
He's takes care of it. He keeps us informed, he'll get with our IT guys and we'll talk about
And
it.
if Commissioner Van Gilder would like to see this too, just have him give us a call, and we
Yes.
can do a web broadcast for him in just a few minutes and show him what's going on too.
We'll be talking later today, I think.
Just have him give Gary a call, and we'll figure out a way to do it.
We'll make it happen. If I have to come back up and I can be in the area.
Okay, tomorrow.
Then we'll all go get hot dogs.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I really appreciate your time, and I appreciate what you guys do. I know that it's a thankless job to be a county commissioner sometimes, and I appreciate
That's
your
awesome.
guys' work.
That's awesome.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, appreciate you being here.